Hello and welcome to Car Dealer Live. My name is James Batchelor and thank you very much for joining us for these live broadcasts on the Car Dealer magazine YouTube channel. Now today on the show, I'm delighted to say we've got Umesh Samani. Hello Umesh.
Morning James, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Thank you very much for coming on indeed. Really do appreciate it. Now Umesh is a very familiar face in the motor trade. He's the owner of his own business, Specialist Cars in Stoke, which he's been running since the late 1990s. He's also the chairman of the IMDA, the Independent Motor Dealers Association. Now, his business is well loved by customers right across the country. He's won numerous awards, many of which have come from us. And ultimately, he's just a very nice guy to talk to, hence why we've got him on. We like to talk to nice people on this show. Now, I've got a lot to talk to about with Umesh in the next 20 minutes or so. If you've got a question, please do drop it into the comments box and I'll do my best to ask it to Umesh. Right then, Umesh, let's get cracking then, shall we? Big day for the motor trade today, really, because, well, big day for retail in general, because, of course, face masks have come into play. They're now mandatory. Has anybody come into the dealership today and, been wearing their face mask?
It's quite bizarre. I have had a couple of people this morning and they did actually come in with masks, but I think that might just be an accident. I think they might have been shopping first. They've got the masks with them. I've got a sign at the entrance to say, obviously, the car showrooms are retail now and they should be wearing masks. In reality, I just don't believe people are geared up to go to car showrooms with masks in mind. I think they'll go there, let's look at the cars, got the driving license, whatever they need to have to look at a car or do a deal or whatever. But I think the last thing they'll be thinking of is car showrooms, masks. I don't think the message has been put out clearly all the way through, has it really? I mean, supermarkets we can fully understand, but we're in close proximity. But, with car dealers, since we opened 1st of June, every single dealer has taken the precautions. We've done the distancing. We've got screens. I've got screens in my office here. We've got the sanitizers. We've made sure everybody is, 2 meters apart anyway. Forget the 1 meter rule, but 2 meters. So we've taken all the precautions. All of a sudden to be thrown this curveball to say masks as well. I just think it's wrong anyway, personally. But, we've got to comply with what the government says. But I don't think that's the thing that people will be thinking about, But I mean, I have actually got the sign there. Plus, I've just put a sign there to say, if you haven't got a mask and you want to come into the showroom to talk to me, feel free, grab one there and come in and talk to me. So you got to help the people. If they want to go and buy a car, I don't want a mask stop the transaction, do you really? Or to say you can't come into the showroom and be forceful about it. I think it's just the wrong message.
Yeah, and interestingly, I mean, I've been looking at a lot of chatter from other car dealers this morning. And they easily split into two camps, one of which is, we're going to be wearing masks, the staff are going to be wearing masks inside the showroom. We will be offering masks to customers if they turn up without one. And then there's the other side of the coin, which is people are saying, we're not be wearing masks in the showroom. And if customers come in without wearing the mask, then I'm not going to actually, confront them because I don't want them to walk out the showroom. It's an interesting sort of debate, really, isn't it?
It is, as you say, it's a very split debate. But then, how far do you push it? At the end of the day, I'm not going to refuse anybody. I'm quite comfortable keeping my social distance outside or in the showroom. Technically, I suppose against the rules because they should be wearing the mask in there. But the showroom is big enough. I'm not going to get a crowd in there, and I think most people aren't going to get a crowd. So I think it's a step backwards, really. Having said masks don't do anything in the first place, and then we've had all the conflicting stories of good, bad, and now they're saying start wearing them. So all these mixed messages don't help any of us, do they really, James, in reality? Yeah.
No. And, we've got to, be fair. I mean, the government has been in an unprecedented situation and they've had to do what they've had to do a whole raft of things which nobody would ever have thought of 12 months ago, let alone, at the beginning of this year. But I do feel, though, and I'm sure you feel the same, that the motor trade has been a little bit kept in the dark about things. You know, you've had the situation with dealers in Scotland where it felt as though it was very much me who was phoning up car dealers saying, you know, you're not going to be able to open until June the 27th or whenever it was. They weren't told that. And the same thing with face masks. I know that not every single retail outlet can be covered in the guidance, but car dealerships are a big thing, aren't they? And for them not to be specifically mentioned in the guidance and all of us having to you know, read between the lines wasn't very good. The messaging has been very confused, hasn't it?
I think they just forgot all about car dealers, didn't they? I think they forgot the size of the operation of the car dealers in the country. You know, it's all right saying supermarkets there. Yeah, there's supermarkets everywhere, but you think of the number of dealerships in the country, you know, and the number of footfall, the revenue from motor trade, and yeah, it was almost like a sideline, wasn't it? You know, car dealers. All of a sudden, somebody thought, oh, you know, we've been forgotten. So I think they should have said, you know, the dealers need to do sort of things and put as a separate category in there. But as you say, the mixed messages between England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, I know each one's trying to prove their own little point, which is another political agenda out there, you know, but it's crazy, as you say, with you know, one can do it, one can't do it, and the one's got to wait another month longer virtually. It's just all wrong. It doesn't help the economy and the dealers. Generally does it, you know, in reality.
Okay, so the face masks are here now. They're going to be here for quite a while, I think. Again, the motor trade is very adaptable and flexible. You know, the motor trade will do what it has to. But really, you know, pun not intentional, the face masks issue is masking really what has been a pretty strong period for the motor trade, hasn't it? Particularly in used cars. And really, the motor trade is bucking the trend in many ways, isn't it? Because most people are reporting strong business.
It's incredible, James. I really is just, you know, at this rate, this is going to be probably the best month in 23 years for me. Phenomenal. Yeah. So if this is the new normal, can we please stick to this? You know, this would be fantastic. But I think it might be short-lived. I'm hoping it's, you know, it's not going to be dropping off the cliff. I think, you know, every dealer pretty much I'm talking to, you know, as on a personal basis or as the association, the IMDA, you know, everybody's saying everybody is, you know, selling a lot of cars. Obviously, with that comes a supply situation, you know, the fact that the stock is short and everybody's paying a premium for it. Well, it doesn't take a genius to work out why stock is short. You know, if you think about it, the first quarter, a lot of dealers had quite a good start to the year. So the stock was a little bit short anyway. Then obviously we didn't have the March big boom because, you know, virtually halfway through March, you know, it sort of closed down. No new cars being sold, no business being done. Then everybody else was shut down. So there's no transactions happening. So all of a sudden, you know, the dealers who were selling the cars got sold, but nothing can be replaced because all the sources were all shut down. So we can see that the shortage of cars out there. And obviously the guide prices of people saying they're fetching, you know, £2,000-3,000 over the cap, which is the one that everybody tends to be using. Obviously the guides are available. And I think it's either case of the guides are wrong, you know, and they're not reflecting what the true value of the car is. I mean, we've had this before, haven't we, where everybody's saying they're fetching over the guide prices, but if you look at the depreciation of some of the cars compared to cost new, the guides are probably wrong at sometimes. And it's not just a matter of everybody paying over the odds for the car, it's how they see the value compared to new on that. So I think that's the thing. But certainly the shortage of decent stock has, you know, inflamed the prices at the moment. But I'm not sure if the retail demand will continue at the same rate. And that's a bit that scares me a little bit. You know, every trade body, every dealer, we look at the cap guide or whatever guide there might be out there, and we bid against that valuation. And then what the margin, but in reality, I'm not sure the retailers are there, so the margins keep getting squeezed or the trade figures are higher, in my opinion.
I mean, do you really think the demand is there, or do you think we're all guilty of saying, look, used car prices are really strong at the moment, you know, dealers are fighting between each other, and could it be a case that we're all whipping it up ourselves and creating this situation, and we're all fighting against each other?
I think so. I genuinely believe that. I've had, as I just said, I've had a very busy month. It's been very busy and buoyant, but once I'm rushed off my feet, the phone isn't off the hook as such, but everyone who's inquired has been a genuine buyer prepared to commit to buy the car. So, but I'm not convinced that there is a massive demand out there. So, so dealers are selling, but it's not as if the phone's on fire with everybody. So I think sometimes, we are, because we've had if you think about it, we've been shut down for 3 months or whatever, we've not been doing any business. So all of a sudden, we expected to do no business, than to come back to being a sort of normal number of sales. So all of a sudden, we think we're busy because in our own mind, we've got it trained to say we're going to be dead, we're going to be quiet, the furlough issue, no money being spent. So maybe it is a bit of our own hype, and we've got to be careful with that and not to get carried away with bidding cars, over the odds for the cars.
With your business, have you experienced these trends in used cars at the moment? So it's cars costing less than £10,000, sometimes MPVs doing particularly well, and also cars at the higher end of the spectrum, but also cars like hybrids, plug-in hybrids, and electric cars not doing particularly well. Have you seen any of that?
I said last time on the interview that I thought the demand would be there for between £3,000 and £9,000 cars, the sort of lower end range. I can't say there's been a massive demand for that sort of cars, to be fair. I mean, I've just bought quite a few the last few weeks. I'm not been going through the forecourt very fast. I'm surprised with the higher end ones because they seem to be flying out at the moment. Plug-in hybrids, electric, I've got none in stock. I don't get many requests for those. I don't know if it's just to do with the areas and locations, I'm not sure, but I have tried hybrids in the past and not been very successful. But certainly people don't come rushing in to buy those, and I'm not sure if the demand is still there, a big demand. I think the government's trying to play it up and push people through that, and they have done for a long time. But I just don't think it's working. We've still got the charging issues. I was talking to a guy the other day, and he got the planning wrong. He said, I need to stop somewhere now. I wish I didn't have to keep stopping. It's the journey's twice as long for a lot of people because none of us plan these things. And when you get there, if there's a couple of cars waiting, all of a sudden you can lose an hour and a half, can't you? Trying to get, and people just don't want to do that, do they?
No, and I think the interesting thing about how the EV and plug-in hybrid market will develop, the used car sector will develop, is once people it normalizes. So at the moment, the vast majority of used electric cars are still bought by people who are EV evangelists. They particularly want to have an electric car, and they've got the right lifestyle, they've got the charging points at home, they've worked out their lifestyle in terms of the travel, the distances they travel. They're only going to buy an electric car. They're not going to go and buy a diesel Audi A4, for example.
Yes.
How that's going to change in the future is going to be the interesting bit, isn't it? Because I'm sure you will be coming across people who are considering, well, do I have that Volvo S60 diesel? Or do I go for the Volvo S60 plug-in hybrid? It's where that ratio is going to change, isn't it?
It is very much so, yeah. And I mean, I've got a couple of customers who this is absolutely bizarre considering we're trying to get less cars on the road. I've got 2 customers straight back, I can think off the top of my head, who've got 2 cars. One's electric, trying to be environmental friendly and doing the right thing. But then they've got a diesel for the long hauls. So they're all right running the petrol about locally, but anything, 150, 200 miles, they're in the big diesel. So the fact that you've got 2 cars now, they only need 1 car, but they're trying to do the right thing. And you think what a crazy situation because they can't just have that electric one due to the range. There is some more expensive ones out there, but the range that they're looking at. So seems a very strange situation, isn't it? With customers who want to do the right thing, but unable to because of the charging and so forth. Yeah. It's interesting, really, isn't it? How the current, coronavirus situation is. You would think that it would actually sort of inject renewed interest in doing things differently, like electric cars. But in actual fact, people are buying cars which they feel comfortable with. They know that
they can go and fill it up at the petrol station at the end of the road. And buying cars like MPVs. I mean, that trend of MPVs, as we know, is dying out. Manufacturers are stop building brand new MPVs because people want SUVs. But in times of crisis, people return to cars that are comfortable for them.
It is, absolutely. Yeah, it is. And as you said, it seems crazy actually, because we all keep thinking the public's going to rush out there and start buying cars because they don't want public transport. So is that more wishful thinking for us? Because I think people, yes, when you talk to them, they are scared of going on public transport. But I've had a couple of customers who want to pick cars up and they said, do you know what, I might just grab the train and put a mask on. So it's not the end of the world, on that. And car sharing wise, I mean, you've probably seen them, I've seen them. People are jumping in and out of cars when they're not related without masks. We see them all. So all of a sudden, the problem is there with coronavirus. But people all of a sudden, when it comes down to money or situation, whatever, they just seem to think, oh, forget that, I'm going to share a lift, I'm going to jump in the car, I'm going to get transport, taxis, whatever. So all of a sudden, saying one thing, but they tend to do the opposite.
Yeah.
When they're faced with the actual reality of, I need to get from A to B, I'll grab a taxi, doesn't really care, I've got a mask or whatever, but you know what, I'll be okay, I'll be fine, I'll just get on with it.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't buy cars from auction, do you? You tend to buy cars privately, don't you?
You see, my brainwashing works as well. You see, people always listen to what I say. absolutely spot on. So I buy nothing from the auctions, haven't done since the day I started, since 1997. So every car that I buy pretty much is straight from.
Oh, Umesh, there you are, you're back.
I'm back, sorry. I've just
we lost you then.
Sorry, yeah. So
the internet's a bit dodgy in Stoke, isn't it?
Yeah, just a bit, yeah. So every car that I buy pretty much is from the last owner. So, I've been buying cars direct from the last owner since virtually the day that I started. I'm too fussy sometimes for my own good, but at least I get to know the people. I get to know who they are, the car. I can view it at my own time, my own leisure, and some I go and visit and buy direct. And it also stops me buying blind from the auctions, because there's horrendous stories that I'm hearing, which is a sad fact. When one dealer, we're all supposed to be together, the motor trade, but one dealer is trying to pretty much the way I'm going to shaft the other one. You know what I mean? They'll send cars to the auction, knowing there's known faults, clear the memories or whatever, not declare anything. And unfortunately, a lot of dealers get screwed over, which obviously long-term wise is, they're losing money on it, or they've sold the car to a customer and they've had issues with it. So these sort of things are a major problem. So buying privately, I think it just gives me a bit more confidence. The fact that, and I can get to know the people, I know what I'm buying, what I'm looking at, and so forth. So that's why.
Oh,
apologise about that. It's phone's diverted if somebody doesn't pick up for me. So sorry about that.
There you go. The phone is ringing off the hook, like you were just.
There you go, off the hook. Yeah. So buying from the private also, I believe, doesn't put me into the race of trying to just bid on cars left, right, and centre, not knowing what they are.
Yeah.
And I also believe if you buy the right cars at the right price, you make money. And if you're paying over the odds for something, it's all right selling them, but your margin's got to be diminished. Yeah, it's as simple as that, really. So the way that I look at it is that's why I stick to that formula. It works for me, doesn't work for everybody. Some dealers struggle to buy from the private people for whatever reasons, but I've built up a name locally, and I suppose quite wide as well. People can recommend. I got an email last night from a gentleman who's about 50, 60 miles away. He says, been recommended. Friends of mine sold cars to you a couple of years ago. Is this of interest? And absolutely, so I've emailed him back. We've sort of agreed a deal in principle. He's going to pop it over in 2 weeks' time, and I'm buying the car. So that's the way that I operate. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, because you've dealt with the previous owner directly, you've obviously qualified the car. You know that it's of a good quality, good service history, well looked after, etc., etc. Because you know of that car's previous story, you're able to pass that on to the next owner. And because you know the car, you can't fake that passion or that knowledge about the car, can you? And I'm sure that's the reason why people keep returning to you.
That's absolutely 100%, James. Absolutely spot on. And this is the thing, I can tell a story about that car, can't I? I know the full story about that car. so I can tell the next owner about it, and that goes a long way. That gives the confidence to the buyer as well, and I mean, so customers keep coming back to me, time and time again. That's what it's about, building that brand and reputation. I call them raving fans, so they keep coming back and shouting about me, which is, you can't beat free advertising like that, can you really?
Yeah, you can't. But also, for people wishing to get rid of their old cars at the moment, there are a number of routes they can go down. There's one particular brand which we all know, and it's advertised on the TV with a celebrity. When people are getting all these messages of the ease of use of using online services to get rid of their cars, not everybody wants to do things like that, do they? If they know that there's a dealer down the road, or 10 miles away, or 20 miles away even, who has got a very good reputation, who will offer a fair price, for a lot of people, it's a much more pleasant way of doing business, isn't it?
Well, funny you should just mention that, actually, because that famous buying company out there, they've just done me a big favour. This week I bought 2 cars directly because the customer got online valuation, made the appointment, went down to show the cars, and to be fair, both cars have been described correctly, because we always know the prices do change because the customer forgot to mention the scuffed wheel or the missed service or whatever it may be. Made the appointment, got down there, and one was £800 less, or £700 less, and they couldn't justify why. They just said that's the value today, and they said, well, you gave us this amount the other day. So obviously, luckily they walked away. They weren't desperate to sell the cars. One of them Googled my number, got it here. The second one, interestingly, rang a friend to say what happened. They said, oh, bring Umesh. He buys these sort of cars. Not only that, as he was talking to somebody else, my name came up again. So he just rang up. He said, there's experience of going down the road, which is literally just half a mile down the road from me. And he said, well, interesting. He said, a lot of people are saying that that's the type of cars that I buy and how straightforward it is. And literally, they arrived here, they put all the paperwork. Within 20 minutes, the car was bought, done, dusted, money in their account. They went back in their other car. So it's easy, and you've got to make it easy for customers to sell cars. When buying or selling cars, it's just an easy process, isn't it? It's just a sad fact that people do get messed about. And as we know, just by registration number and mileage, you can't value a car. And that's my message to everybody out there selling cars. You can't just say, this is the registration, this is the mileage, and get an accurate valuation. That I say to people, I need to know the service history, the condition, etc., and build a picture of it. And then it might be worth £1,000 more, and so forth. Yeah. So, but it is making it easy. So, but they've got the branding, they've got the marketing. But I think every dealer out there, I'd like to think, has actually gained from their national marketing and helped all of us, really. So, as you said at the start of it, nice cars. I do buy nice cars, and my domain is webuynicecars.co.uk. Not any. You remember that? Not any.
We don't mention that name. Now, you're well known for your social media. We've been talking about this for years. I mean, I think you won one of the E-Awards back in 2012. Oh, there it is. Okay.
There you go. Come on. Thank you. Yeah.
That wasn't a deliberate plug. That, honestly, it's not scripted, ladies and gentlemen, whatsoever. Now we've been, you've been doing social media for years, and it's not a new thing, but particularly with coronavirus lately, the dealers who who are coming out of this stronger are the ones who've been able to keep up communication with their customers whilst they haven't been able to do business. I mean, is that something you'd agree with?
100%, absolutely. I think, say going back to all those years, 2013, long time ago, a few more grey hairs on there.
Yeah. You're telling me, yeah.
Social media, I mean, a lot of people still say to me, does social media work? It depends how you measure social media. If you want an instant sale, it's not going to work every time. But to me, it's about, number one, building a brand, and number two, keeping the customers informed what's going on there. And it's not about sell. And that's another message. What I always say to a lot of people is, for example, Facebook, don't just go and post car 1, car 2, car 3. People aren't interested in that. They want to know about the business, the person. Yes, the odd nice car you put on there just to tell people you do sell cars. But it's about having that transaction, isn't it? That communication and interactions. That's the biggest thing. So be Twitter, be Facebook, Instagram, it's having that interaction. But it's been phenomenal because the message that I've sent out, again, whilst we've been on lockdown since we've opened up, with all the procedures we've done about sanitizing, the workshop, the showroom, so people build an image of how the business operates. It gives them an idea of the fact that, oh yes, I can go to Umesh, showroom's been cleaned, it's been sanitized, the cars that go out every day, they're sanitized. So, all that message goes in, and it helps to build a brand for the businesses. And I think a lot of dealers do miss out. And I think we had this conversation actually when you gave me the awards, I think on the stage after, we're having a drink, of how do I do it. I just go with what's in my head at the time. Hardly anything's ever planned. Whatever comes into my head, we've all got phones in our pockets, So if something comes in my head, if I'm walking to the showroom, I might just grab a picture, 2-second tweet, it's done. It's not a case of I've got to write a big formula the night before to say, I've got to do this at 11 o'clock, this at 12. Whatever comes into your head, it's got to be natural, it's got to be done. I've sold cars, I've bought cars, I've got a lot of business from it. So, but it's difficult to measure all the time because it's the whole picture, isn't it? It's not just one platform, it's the whole picture of it all. The website comes in together as well, the cars, the messages. So, I encourage every dealer to find the time, a minute here, a minute there, whatever it may be, to build a brand. It's all about brand building, it's as simple as that, really.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right, because there are customers out there who are more than happy to go to a car supermarket and buy a car, in a very simple way. But there are lots of people out there who want to buy a car from a person, and if you can be the figurehead of your business and be on social media, people feel as though they've got that relationship with you before they've even stepped through the door wearing their face mask. And if you've established that relationship before the customer actually walks in, you've done the hard bit, haven't you? Once they come in, and if the car is as described, the deal is pretty much done, isn't it?
100%. And again, I've been talking about videos. I've done videos for years and years, selling full walk around videos. So they sell cars before even customers arrive here. But again, it's not just about that part of it. It's the fact that they've heard my voice on that video, or they've actually seen me, because some I'll do in front of the car, some I'll just do a voice, So as soon as I answer the phone, you've got that connection. They know who you're talking to. And the times people say to me, oh, you've done the video, you're Umesh, are you? I said, yeah. So the barrier's already down, isn't it? You're having that conversation.
Yeah.
There's all these little things that all of us like. We like to, be recognised, don't we? Or who you're talking to, who you're dealing with. You're not faceless. So all those people who are shy, we all hate our own voices. When I watch this back, I'm thinking, do I really sound that? But I do, and you sound the same. We're all the same, don't we? But it's just a matter of getting in front of the camera, just do it. And then if you take one you don't like it, delete it. It's not going to cost you anything. Have a practice, So that's the message out there about getting out on social media, doing the videos and so forth, really. And absolutely, don't be shy about it. Just get out there and do it.
Yeah. Just before we leave it there, just want to talk about the IMDA. So anybody who's interested in becoming a member, just explain to them how and the benefits of joining.
The IMDA has been absolutely phenomenal success. Thank you to all the founder members with themselves. It's not just me. I'm not. I might be the face of it, but it's the guys who work in the background. That they do all the work as well. So as a team, it's about 3 years since we've been going now. 2017 we started. We've got between 600 and 700 members now, approved dealers on board, like-minded dealers. We're building this massive community throughout the country. And it's not about just being in a group or an association. It's about helping and supporting each other. If I've sold a car for me to somebody in London and I have a slight issue, I like to think I can pick the phone up and chat to somebody down there and say, can you just give me a hand with this? Look at this car for me. Nothing worse than selling a car to the area and then, the car goes somewhere else and you get horrendous stories. So that's one of the things of it. We also have the voice element, which is, one about the furlough situation where salesmen didn't get the commission. So we campaigned for that, and we got it. Obviously thanks to Mr. Baggett as well, to push that with us as well. So we've got the story out there to help the industry. So this is what it's all about. We've had issues talking to DVLA with Trade Place, and we've got other issues at the moment, again, which we're trying to push through. So again, it's trying to help the industry with that. We have partners, suppliers who've got exclusive deals for all the members, which again is, you can either save you money or make money for you. We've got exclusive, for example, motor trade insurance with Aston Lark. A lot better cover, savings. There's so many different things there. We've got the masterclasses, and the beauty of all this is it doesn't cost the dealer a penny. It's all free. They can just join. Clickandjoin.co.uk is easy. Just go on there, clickandjoin.co.uk, and they can join for free. They can be part of the association. We help and support each other. It's not a private members club. We're there to support and help each other. We've got our own closed forum as well on Facebook for like-minded dealers. Fantastic. So we welcome all the dealers. It's a not-for-profit charity. It's an association. It's not a charity association. We're there to help other fellow dealers, and the independent dealers do not have a voice at the end of the day. So that's what the IMDA is all about.
Yeah, and you all help each other out. I saw your post on LinkedIn today about trying to get the Citroen C4 diesel for this particular chap who's in difficulty, something which we will be covering as well. But it's nice that everybody can be part of the club and help each other out in times of need. So yes. Great, it's great organisation. Thanks very much, Umesh, for coming on. Really do appreciate your time. Now, if you want to get involved with Car Dealer Lives just like this one, then please do email me, james.batchelor@blackballmedia.co.uk, or James Baggett. He's available at james@blackballmedia.co.uk. Next week, we have car dealer columnist James Litton. We've got the MD of DS Automobiles UK on Wednesday, and we're going to be ending the week talking about used car prices with CAP HPI's Darren Martin. So that just leaves me to say until Monday, have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.